You know, a good brewery tour, it's more than just getting from one tap room to the next. Good ones take you to a hidden gem that you might not have found on your own, or share some insider stories or local history that you can't just get from grabbing a seat on a bar stool. Not to mention all of the deep dives you're going to take into the process of beer making itself. Well, that's kind of what our next guest delivers, and he's got a new one starting up in Holland. Scott Hart, he's the owner of West Michigan Brewery Tours, and he's here with all the info. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here. Let's talk about Holland. Why did we choose Holland for brewery tours?
Holland is an amazing place, in my opinion. I was born and raised in Holland, so I've lived there for nearly 40 years now. The breweries in Holland are absolutely fantastic, in my opinion. Most of them started out of nothing, and we have the variety of all the different types of breweries. We have the smallest brewery, Nano Brewery, right next to the largest independent brewery in Michigan.
Right there, side by side.
Side by
so you
side.
really do, you get to see the dichotomy, the paradox, all the things that happen and the history that you dive into. Now, before we dive into specifically what's happening in Holland, talk about your tours in general, how they've been, I mean, you've witnessed this past few decades, this explosion of microbreweries and these beer tours.
Absolutely. So there's been a lot of tours. My wife and I have gone on a few brewery tours as well. We just love the amount that you can learn from going on a tour with a local and being able to tell you more about the breweries. Additionally, if you don't do a lot of tours, if you don't go to a lot of craft brewers, it gets intimidating, you know, because you get to the brewery and there's a plaque full of the beers that they serve, and there's 20 plus beers, and it's sometimes just hard to understand what you're going to like. So
that's a real challenge.
It is.
Scott, I mean, you're talking to a guy who lived that, right? Because I was just like your standard, you know, regular macro brew guy, and I was overwhelmed when all that came out. So to have a guide, not to mention you're getting to have a drink. I mean, you're getting to actually have a few while you're doing this. So the history of the town is included in this as well. So you're a little bit of a historian, so it's not just going to be about the beer. Talk a little bit about some intriguing things that happened around Holland, maybe, that your fans and people who take your tours love to hear about.
Sure. So my favorite part about talking about Holland is the fact that it's more than tulips, right? Everybody knows Holland for the tulips. So what else do we have? You know, the biggest thing that I love to talk about is the snowmelt system that we have in Holland. How it was initially developed not developed, but it was initially installed in the 80s, implemented in the 90s, and it's got over 1 million square feet of snowmelt system in Holland. That's over 8 miles of snowmelt system. So my intention is to run this tour year round, and the entire tour, it's a walking tour, it's on the snowmelt system. So you'll never see any plow trucks, you'll never see anybody shoveling in the sidewalks, it's all melted, and in my opinion, that's one of the coolest facts about Holland.
It's one of the biggest draws, is that you never have to worry about those sidewalks in downtown Holland because, well, they got the snowmelt system melting it all away. So some of these tidbits that you're going to get, how long does the tour last? How much am I going to be walking?
So the tour is a 3-hour tour, and we walk just under 1 mile.
Oh, just under 1 mile.
Yep.
Very, very walkable. So 3 hours, you get a few, how many stops usually on it?
There's 3 breweries, but there's 3 additional history stops as well.
All right, so you're getting 3 breweries, 3 additional history stops in less than 3 hours. Sounds like a pretty cool date night idea, really, to tell you the truth, or an afternoon. When are these happening? These are afternoon or evening?
These are afternoons, so it's Saturday and Sunday, both start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Saturdays and Sundays, 2 o'clock. You ready for a good time? WestMichBrewTour.com. That website right there on your screen. As you heard, they're about $50. Start at 2 in the afternoon on your weekends. Downtown Holland Brewery Tours. Thanks for the time, Mark Scott.
Thank you.
You bet. We'll be right back.